I want to tell you a story of traumatic loss. Tell you a story of courage, of togetherness, and the spirit of man. At least 2 deaths have been confirmed in the Texas Panhandle fires now. It's the largest wildfire in state history with over 1 million acres burned. Hundreds have lost their homes, and because rural Texans are twice as likely to forfeit homeowners insurance, the road ahead seems unfathomably difficult. I want to play the voice of a 3-year-old Addison. Addison began to realize the only home she's ever known is now gone forever.
I want a house.
You want your house? Yeah, baby. We'll get another house, okay?
Her dad is Tyler McCain. He was working hard to become the first person in his family to ever pay off his house. He was close. If you're watching BlazeTV, you can see the picture of what their home looks like right now. The only thing standing in the backyard is the metal swing set. The catastrophic depths of this particular wildfire go one step further, and it will affect you. Texas leads America by far with the most cattle. And according to the Texas Agriculture Commissioner, Sid Miller, 85% of the state's cattle population resides in the Panhandle where this fire happened. He predicted during an interview with CBS News that 10,000 cattle will have died or will have to be euthanized. This is too horrific to even think about. A lot of these cattle are still alive, but the hooves have been burned off. Their teats have been burned off. Their udders are burned off, and they have to be put down. So while the death toll of human lives lost to these fires is low, the loss of livelihood is nothing like we've ever seen before. Now, Dixon Creek, it's a division of the Four Sixes Ranch. It was seen in the hit TV show Yellowstone. That is just one of the ranches affected. When the wildfires came near, General Manager Joe Leathers said, the cowboys from other divisions joined forces with other ranches, firefighters, volunteers. They all fought the flames and saved lives. You probably have never met a real cowboy, but they are amazing people. They're some of America's toughest. But can these ranchers and the cattle industry actually recover from this? Joe Leathers joins me now. Joe, welcome.
Yeah, good morning, Glenn. How are you?
I'm good, better than you are. This is just tragic, and I don't think people understand how bad this is and how much it will affect them.
Glenn, before we even start this conversation, I want everybody to understand, you know, we've been in business for over 150 years, and we've got 3 ranches. We lost 23,000 acres in this particular fire. But with that being said, we've been extremely blessed. We've got options, and we didn't completely burn out fence to fence. We didn't lose massive amounts of cattle, and we've got a lot of neighbors that have and are in far worse shape than us. I was at Dixon Creek yesterday, and we were moving cattle out of the burned area. And, you know, it's cows and baby calves. It's calving season, and little old calves can't travel very far, and they couldn't. A lot of them couldn't outrun the fire. And, you know, we were moving those cattle out to country that had not burned, and we were able to adjust and send cattle to the feedlot. But long story short, when I left there, I went to the feedlot and looked at some cattle that we had sent up there. And on my way back, I went through some of the burned area, and I didn't measure it, but for 30 or 40 miles just through one particular area, it was black as far as I could see. Not a blade of grass. Any fences that had wood posts were burned up and on the ground. Fire had burned up to the edge of homes. And, you know, we've been through fires before. And I was telling my wife this morning that, when you're sitting there looking at that burned out country, and you lost an unaccounted for amount of cattle, and don't know what your future holds. It's a pretty devastating feeling. A long time to recover.
I have to tell you, I got a call from my ranch manager yesterday, and he said, because we've had 3 sets of twins, and when that happens, the mamas can't feed both, so they're usually gone off. We lost a calf yesterday, 1 calf. I cannot imagine what it feels like to lose the cattle and to see them suffering on the ground. I mean, this is just a horrific, horrific story.
Well, it is, and this is not the first time that we've had a fire. This is obviously the largest when it's over 1 million acres and covers 2,000 square miles. You're talking huge, but the Texas Panhandle has fires in the past. I've been through many of them, several of them in my 25 years at the ranch. But it takes a toll on you in the recovery, and to watch, to find calves or cows that are burned, and some of them have died. Well, it is heartbreaking. And then, you find some that burned, and then you've got to make the determination: are they going to recover? Or are you going to have to put them down? And so that adds a whole nother emotional level to it.
Somebody told me that they had seen a video where somebody was driving 60 miles an hour and could not outrun the fire at some point. Is that true?
Well, I don't know whether that particular story is true, but I can tell you this, and I know from experience that it can cover with 60 mile an hour gust, anything gust over 40 miles an hour, that it can cover 20,000 acres, burn over 20,000 acres in 30 minutes or less.
Wow.
Just unless you've got some obstacle to slow it down, a 4-lane highway won't slow it down. It'll jump to highways. And you can't. Firefighters can't fight something that's moving that fast. You've got to work from the sides, and you got to wait till the wind lays. There's not anything you can do to stop it.
So you have the big impact of this fire is you don't have any grass to feed your animals. How can people? I think there's like a hay hotline. This happens from time to time, where people who are growing hay and alfalfa they ship it down to you. Is there anything organized on that yet?
Absolutely. Go to Texas Southwest Cattle Raisers, tscra.org. And they will, on that website, there are places that you can send hay and drop hay. And then that way the ranchers in need, they will make sure it gets to the ones that need it. And I'm going to tell you, they need hay. There's folks out there that lost their homes. They need home supplies, fencing material. With 2,000 square miles that's burned up, I don't know how many fences, hundreds or thousands of miles there is of fence that has burned up that's on the ground. So those type of things are good places to take materials to and donations to. The Star Fund, state of Texas has a Star Fund that's been set up. You can give financially. And I got to share with you, Glenn, I don't know how much time we have, but
go ahead.
In 2010, we droughted out in Texas. You probably remember it.
Yeah, I do.
And we moved a lot of cattle. The ranch moved a lot of cattle up north. And what we discovered that the ranching community, we talk about our neighbors across the fence, but the ranching community is neighbor from the Gulf Coast all the way to the Canadian border. Mm-hmm. And I've had people that I run cattle on up north in some of those states call me and say, "We've got hay. Where does it need to go?" And so we've been getting hay from Montana and South Dakota and Wyoming, not to the ranch, but to these locations. And a big deal now is trucking. You can get people to donate the hay, but they don't have any way to get it to Texas. And then sometimes you don't have a way to get it from the centers where you bring the hay to right. Get it distributed to the people in need. So there's an opportunity there for truckers.
Well, there's a lot in common with truckers and cowboys.
There is,
Yeah.
but then the truckers have to pay bills too. They're willing to donate their time and their rigs, but it costs money. So that's another way to give. And people's memories are short. Disaster memories are short. And when it rains, you'll get a little green on the ground, and people will forget. It's going to take years to recover from this, even if it greens up.
So we're not going to see a price increase. I hate to bring it to this, but we're not going to see a price increase in beef, or we shouldn't, until next year when everything is sold at auction. All these babies that are being born right now are sold at auction. What's the impact on the ability to buy meat in America?
None.
None?
You're not going to see any immediate change in prices at the grocery store. You're not going to see a shortage of beef. Here's the reality. Here's the reality. The beef industry is huge. It's a national industry, and the amount of cattle, even though it's very devastating to the individuals who lost their ranches, who lost their homes, who lost their livelihoods, who lost all these cattle, that number of head that we have lost is a minute amount when you look at the overall numbers of cattle in the United States. And I don't foresee seeing a major increase in price at the grocery store.
Well, I can't thank you enough for taking your time to share the story with us, Joe. If you don't mind, I would like somebody from my charitable arm, Mercury One, to reach out to see if we can help defray some of the costs for the hay or the truckers, or even help people rebuild their lives. So if you don't mind, somebody from Mercury One will be reaching out to you today.
Sure, they can reach out to me, but they can also go to the Star Fund, Texas Department of Agriculture website, and that is a good, legitimate place to give.
Okay.
And they will get it out to. It's not state money. It's individual money, like the folks you're talking about.
Okay.
And they will get it to the people that needs. You know, as bad as I hate to say it, there are crooks out there that try to set up places where they can receive this aid
Sure.
and these funds. And but just make sure you send it to a legitimate.
Well, if you say that TexasAgriculture.gov is good, I just don't want 30 cents or 40 cents of my dollar going to the state and only 60 cents going back to you guys. But if you say that's good, that's good.
The Star Fund is a legitimate spot to give it, and it's not going to end up in some other state coffers. It'll end up in the producer's hands that need it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Joe. God bless you.
You bet. Thank you. I'll keep praying.
You bet. The Star Fund. Also, you can go to Texas and Southwestern Cattle Ranchers Association. That's tscra.org.